You think this is some kind of game? Judge Whitlow's voice boomed across the courtroom. Every eye turned to the center, to a teenage girl in a dark blazer that didn't quite fit, but a presence that demanded silence. "This isn't debate club, Miss Lewis," he sneered. "This is a court of law. A place for trained professionals, not costume contests." The gallery chuckled. Someone whispered, "Poor kid's gonna get eaten alive." But Amara Lewis didn't flinch. She stood there, still, calm, as if the weight of that silence was hers to carry. "Your Honor," she said, "if you're done mocking me, I'd like to proceed." Gasps. No one dared speak like that to Whitlow, but she wasn't done. "And just so we're clear, I came to court prepared to dismantle a false eviction. But I'm starting to think I might need to dismantle something bigger." The courtroom froze. Even the prosecutor, Mr. Crenshaw, a veteran with a permanent smirk, shifted in his chair. Whitlow leaned forward. "You want to represent yourself? In this case? I already am. You're 17. And fully within my legal right to file on behalf of a tenant in small claims court." She turned her gaze to Crenshaw. "Unless Mr. Crenshaw would like to argue jurisdiction in front of the press." Crenshaw blinked. No smirk, just recalculation. Judge Whitlow gritted his teeth, then sighed. "Fine, proceed." She nodded once, then walked to the plaintiff's table, opened her folder, and began. Exhibit A, the lease agreement, signed and dated. Exhibit B, all receipts of rent paid in full. Exhibit C, emails from the landlord threatening eviction without cause. With each word, the room leaned closer. Every line she read cut through years of corruption like a scalpel. Her voice never rose, never shook, but the silence around her, it changed. From doubt to disbelief to awe. She had the judge's attention, the jury's, even Crenshaw's. And for the first time all morning, the courtroom belonged to her. But behind her poise was a storm she wasn't showing. This wasn't just about legal files. This was about power. And what happens when the powerless fight back? The judge tried to look unaffected, but his fingers drummed the bench. His eyes narrowed, his tone softened. And then finally, he asked what everyone was thinking. "Who exactly are you?" Amara looked up, didn't smile, didn't blink. "Let me take you back to where this started." Fade to black. It started in the south side of Chicago, where the buses never came on time and justice rarely came at all. Amara Lewis lived in a small brick duplex with her Auntie June, the kind of place where the wallpaper peeled in the corners, but the bookshelf was full. While other kids were outside, Amara was inside, reading legal textbooks she found at the thrift store. By 7, she knew the difference between civil and criminal court. By 10, she could quote precedent. By 12, she stopped trying to impress anyone. She just wanted peace. Auntie June, retired teacher, knew her niece was different, but she raised her the same way she taught her students, with humility, discipline, and a wooden spoon when necessary. "Your mind is a gift," she'd say. "Use it right, or it'll use you." Amara never liked attention. She avoided cameras, crowds, and compliments. But what she couldn't ignore was injustice, especially the kind that came wrapped in legal documents and whispered threats. It happened on a Monday. Amara was helping her aunt with groceries when she overheard a woman crying near the corner store. "He's kicking us out," the woman said. "Me and my babies. And I don't know where to go." The cashier looked uncomfortable. People in line pretended not to hear, but Amara turned. She saw a tired woman holding a child with one hand and crumpled papers with the other. Her name was Dina Miles. Single mom, 2 kids, no backup plan. "He said I broke the lease," Dina explained. "Said too many people were living there." She shook her head. It's just me and my boys, that's it. Amara asked one question. Do you have your paperwork? Dina blinked. Yeah, I keep everything. Why? Amara paused, then said quietly, because this doesn't sound legal. Dina stared. You some kind of lawyer? Amara smiled. Not yet. But give me 2 days and a folder. That night, Amara sat at the kitchen table surrounded by printouts, highlighters, and case notes. Auntie June watched from the doorway. You sure about this? She asked. She has no one else, Amara replied. And this landlord's banking on that. Over the next few days, Amara found the holes. The landlord had altered the lease after signing, used vague language, sent threats, but left a digital paper trail. It wasn't just shady, it was illegal. So she drafted a formal letter, cited statutes, gave a deadline, and when the landlord ignored it, she filed a suit in small claims court. Filed it herself, in Dina's name, with Dina's consent. Word spread. The quiet girl who never talked much was about to face a landlord in court. Not with a lawyer, not with a team. With a binder and a fire no one saw coming. Reporters showed up. So did curious neighbors. Some laughed, some cheered. One headline read, Teen legal prodigy challenges housing injustice. But not everyone was impressed. One anonymous post online read, Another mouthy kid who thinks she's a lawyer. This won't end well. Amara saw it, didn't reply. She just saved the screenshot. We'll see, she whispered, because this wasn't about going viral. This wasn't about attention. It was about one woman, 2 kids, and a system built to scare them silent. And Amara Lewis, she wasn't afraid of the system. She wanted it to know her name. The morning of the hearing, the courthouse steps looked like a movie set. News vans lined the curb. Cameras clicked like cicadas. And somewhere in the crowd, someone whispered, That's her, the kid lawyer. Amara Lewis didn't wear a suit. She wore a navy blazer that once belonged to Auntie June's brother. It hung slightly at the shoulders, but it was buttoned and pressed, and enough. She walked beside Dina, who clutched her purse like it held her whole world. I'm scared, Dina whispered. Amara nodded. Me too. Reporters swarmed. Are you really 17? Do you have a law degree? Is this a publicity stunt? Amara didn't answer. She kept walking. Inside the courtroom, the temperature dropped. Not physically, emotionally. Eyes followed her every move. Some curious, some amused, some waiting for her to fail. Mr. Crenshaw sat at the defense table, adjusting his gold cufflinks. Veteran attorney, expensive tie, permanent smirk. He leaned toward his client, the landlord, and whispered loud enough for the court reporter to hear. Let's try not to look too scared of the babysitter. Amara heard, but she didn't flinch. Judge Whitlow entered, his robe trailing like a storm cloud. He scanned the courtroom, then settled his eyes on Amara. They narrowed slightly. Let's begin, he said flatly. Crenshaw stood first, his voice smooth, measured, confident. Your Honor, he began. We'd like to make a motion to dismiss on the basis that the plaintiff's representation is legally insufficient. Judge Whitlow turned to Amara. Miss Lewis, care to respond? She rose. Calm. The court recognizes pro se representation in small claims. I assisted Ms. Miles in filing the case. She authorized all documents. There is no legal violation here, only discomfort. The judge's brow lifted. Crenshaw blinked. The gallery murmured. Motion denied. Whitlow said reluctantly. Proceed. It began. Crenshaw started with theatrics, graphs, contracts, claims. Tried to paint Dina as irresponsible. Said she violated occupancy terms. Suggested her kids weren't registered on the lease. Amara waited, patient, silent, then stood. Your Honor, Exhibit D. She handed the judge a packet. Emails, dated and time-stamped. From the landlord to Ms. Miles, threatening eviction, requesting undocumented payments. Whitlow scanned them. His expression shifted. Exhibit E, Amara continued. Screenshots of text messages from the landlord, including a message stating, and I quote, "She looked up. You can take this to court if you want, but no judge will listen to a woman like you." Gasps. Crenshaw stood quickly. Objection! On what grounds? Judge Whitlow asked, voice low. Crenshaw paused. Relevance? Overruled. Amara turned back to the gallery. The silence was electric. She was no longer just a girl in a blazer. She was a force. But outside the courtroom, the world wasn't cheering. It was calculating. Online comments rolled in. Where are her parents? This is fake. No way she's real. Affirmative action lawyer LOL. Even some journalists got skeptical. Teenage hero or teenage hoax? Amara saw it all. She never responded. But that night, alone in her room, she stared at the ceiling and whispered, "They don't want me to win." Auntie June stood in the doorway. "No," she said softly. "They want you to quit." Amara sat up. "What if I'm not enough?" June walked over, sat on the edge of the bed. "Then fake it. Until one day you stop faking and start leading. Because this wasn't just a case. It was a warning." And Amara Lewis, she wasn't backing down. She was just getting started. Day 2, same courtroom, same judge, but everything felt different. Crenshaw was done playing polite. He walked into the courtroom flanked by 2 assistants, carrying new folders, new motions, and a new tone. His smile, gone. Judge Whitlow barely greeted them, just raised a hand and said, "Let's get on with it." Crenshaw stood. "Your Honor, we have newly discovered financial records that may directly impact the credibility of the plaintiff's hardship claims." He handed a thick folder to the bailiff, then looked at Amara, smirk, returned. "We believe Ms. Miles has been receiving income from undisclosed sources," the courtroom murmured. Dina looked at Amara, panic in her eyes. "I swear, I don't know what he's talking about." Amara whispered back, "We'll handle it." Judge Whitlow opened the folder. His brow furrowed as he flipped through, then looked up. "Miss Lewis," he said, "have you seen this before?" Amara shook her head. "No, Your Honor. This is the first time. You'll have a chance to respond after the defense presents its case." Crenshaw stood again. "Your Honor, these documents suggest large deposits from a company named Harmony Solutions. Our research shows this may be a shell company, possibly used to obscure income." Amara blinked. Harmony Solutions? She hadn't seen that name before, but something felt off. The judge allowed Crenshaw to continue, and for the next hour, he painted Dana as a liar, a manipulator, a woman who cried poor while hiding money. Amara stayed silent, but her hands gripped the edges of the table, hard. When it was finally her turn, she stood up slowly. No papers, no theatrics, just her voice. "Your Honor," she began, "the defense has presented a narrative, not evidence. A story with gaps, assumptions, and conveniently timed discoveries." She walked to the center of the courtroom. "We will demonstrate that Harmony Solutions is a shell company, used by the landlord himself to fabricate financial connections. And I'll also provide expert confirmation from a certified digital forensics analyst, confirming the chain of custody and metadata for all our submitted evidence." The room stilled. Even Crenshaw leaned forward, trying to read her face. Judge Whitlow looked intrigued. "You have this documentation?" "Not with me," Amara replied, "but it's in my case file. You're welcome to review it." Whitlow hesitated, then nodded. "You'll present it tomorrow." Court adjourned for today. Outside, the air was cold, but the tension was colder. As they reached the courthouse steps, a plainclothes officer approached. Miss Lewis? Amara turned. Yes? We need you to come down to the station. Answer a few questions. Dina froze. What's this about? The officer shrugged. Your client's financials. Some irregularities came up. Amara didn't blink. I understand, she said. But I'd like to speak with my client and legal counsel first. The officer stared, then nodded. Don't take too long. As he walked away, Dina grabbed Amara's arm. What if they arrest you? Amara looked her dead in the eyes. Then we'll fight that too. Because dirty tactics only work on people who don't know how to scrub them clean. And Amara Lewis? She was already sharpening her blade. The next morning, Amara arrived early. Her blazer was the same, but her walk? Different. Not cautious, not nervous, determined. She met Malik Reed, her tech-savvy friend, at the courthouse steps. He handed her a USB and a folder. It's all in here, he said. Harmony Solutions is a ghost. Meaning, no office, no employees. Just a P.O. box in Nevada, and one bank account tied to your landlord's cousin. Amara exhaled, sharp, measured, perfect. Inside, Judge Whitlow sat stiffly at the bench. He looked tired, more than usual. Miss Lewis, he said. Are you prepared to respond to yesterday's claims? I am, Your Honor. She walked to the screen, plugged in the USB. Exhibit G, breakdown of Harmony Solutions. On screen appeared. No registered employees, no tax records, a one-page website with vague consulting language, and the bank account metadata tied directly to a known associate of the landlord. This company does not pay Ms. Miles, Amara said. It pays the landlord. He then doctored financial records to look like income, and used that to attack her credibility. The gallery gasped. Mr. Crenshaw stood, voice tight. Objection. On what basis? Amara cut in. This is conjecture. This is proof, she said. With timestamps, financial audits, and third-party verification. She dropped the printed report on the judge's bench. Page 11, Your Honor. You'll find a signed agreement between Harmony Solutions and the defendant, leasing out a fake office space. Judge Whitlow flipped through the pages. His lips parted, then closed. Hard. Miss Lewis. He began slowly. Is this all verified? Yes, Your Honor. Crenshaw was sweating now. Literally. He tried to recover. Your Honor, even if this information is true, it is. It doesn't change the fact that Ms. Miles misrepresented her financial status. Amara turned, voice calm but sharper than ever. The only one misrepresenting anything is the man sitting next to you. Silence, so thick you could feel it pressing on your chest. Judge Whitlow leaned back, exhaled, then spoke. We'll recess. I need time to review this thoroughly. Crenshaw packed his briefcase quickly, too quickly. As Amara gathered her papers, a woman from the gallery approached her. Dark coat, quiet tone. Miss Lewis? Yes? She handed over a card. I'm from the state attorney's office. We've been following this closely. Amara raised an eyebrow. We believe your case might be the first domino. She nodded slowly. Then I'm ready to push it. Because this wasn't just about Dana anymore. It wasn't even about the landlord. It was about a system. One built to hide behind procedure. One that thought no one would look too close. But Amara Lewis, she wasn't just looking. She was exposing. The courtroom was full again. Only this time, people weren't whispering. They were waiting, watching, because something had shifted. Even Judge Whitlow sat taller, less annoyed, more alert. Crenshaw, however, walked in with fire in his eyes. Not the confident kind, the desperate kind. Your Honor, he said. The defense would like to submit a countersuit. Murmurs rippled across the gallery. For defamation, based on Ms. Lewis's accusations against my client. Whitlow blinked. Amara didn't. Defamation? She repeated. After everything we've shown, Crenshaw pressed on. This is an attempt to ruin my client's reputation with unverified claims. The claims have been verified, Amara interrupted. By your client's own documents. Whitlow raised a hand. Enough. Mr. Crenshaw, unless you have compelling proof, this countersuit borders on intimidation. Crenshaw hesitated, then motioned toward the doors. A man entered. Slick suit, cold smile. Damon MOCKS, private investigator, rumored to specialize in making witnesses disappear, legally or otherwise. He took the stand, swore in, began testifying about suspicious behavior from Ms. Miles. Unreported income. Questionable online activity. Amara listened, expression unreadable, then stood. Mr. Knox, she said. Have you ever been hired by Mr. Reynolds or any of his affiliates? He smirked. I don't disclose clients. Even under oath? The smirk faltered. Objection, Crenshaw snapped. Irrelevant. Judge Whitlow paused, then nodded at Amara. I'll allow it. She took a deep breath, then clicked her remote. A video appeared on screen. Security cam footage. Grainy, but clear enough to see Damon MOCKS meeting with the landlord 2 weeks before the trial began. Exhibit H, Amara said. Time-stamped footage showing Mr. Knox accepting an envelope from Mr. Reynolds outside his office building. Gasps erupted. Even Whitlow looked stunned. Do you deny that's you? She asked. Silence. No further questions. Crenshaw was crumbling. His hands shook as he tried to rearrange papers, tried to object, tried to breathe, but it was over. Judge Whitlow leaned forward, his voice low, firm. This court finds the countersuit baseless and retaliatory. Furthermore, we are opening a formal inquiry into possible witness tampering, perjury, and obstruction of justice. Dina gasped, then cried, right there in court, no shame. And Amara, she didn't smile. She just closed her folder, quietly, because this was never about revenge. It was about truth. And now, it was finally undeniable. The verdict came swift. This court rules in favor of the plaintiff. Eviction order rescinded. Damages awarded. Dina collapsed into tears. Amara held her upright, like a pillar, like a promise kept. But Judge Whitlow wasn't done. Furthermore, he added, Mr. Reynolds and his legal team will be referred for formal investigation, including potential charges for evidence tampering, fraud, and perjury. The courtroom erupted. Reporters scrambling, spectators cheering, Crenshaw silent. Damon MOCKS was already gone, slipped out the side door before the gavel hit the wood. Outside, a reporter asked, Miss Lewis, what's next for you? She paused, looked around, at the faces, the cameras, the wait. Then she said, this was never just about one case. It's about how easy it is to make people feel small, and how powerful it is when they finally speak. Days later, headlines read, Teen hero defeats corrupt landlord. Young advocate shakes legal system. Chicago's justice prodigy won't back down. But Amara didn't care for the fame. She cared about the next case, and the one after that. With Auntie June's help, and a few quiet donations, she launched the Justice Collective, a free legal aid clinic, built in a back room of a local community center. Just one desk, 3 chairs, and a line out the door. Amara worked long hours, filed real motions, fought real monsters. She wasn't pretending anymore. She was the system, done right. But shadows don't disappear just because you shine a light. One night, working late, a call came through. Unknown number, she answered. A voice said, You're making enemies, Miss Lewis. Big ones. Amara didn't flinch. So what? They can find me. I'll be exactly where they expect me to be. Standing between them and the people they're trying to silence. Because justice isn't a moment, it's a mission. And Amara Lewis? She wasn't done fighting. She was just getting started. They mocked her, underestimated her, tried everything to silence her. But the truth? It doesn't need permission to rise. Amara didn't fight for fame. She fought because no one else would. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what courage looks like. If this story moved you, if it lit a fire in you, then you're exactly where you're meant to be. This is KaYi, where stories speak truth, spark change, and remind us that one voice can shake a system. Subscribe, turn on the bell, because the next story might just be the one you needed to hear.